All right, so Ahsoka episode 3 is coming out next week, and there's been people who are already kind of complaining that the episode is short, which I understand that. I think people want these episodes to be like little mini movies, and I get that. In some ways they kind of are. A lot of TV shows are like that. Episode runtime never bothered me because they go up and down, they fluctuate. Back in the day of television, when if these shows were on regular over-the-air TV, they were limited to either 22 minutes, not including commercials, or 44 minutes, or 42 depending on the network. But now with streaming, you can make episodes longer, shorter. I mean, there's hour and a half long episodes, double episodes even, that have existed. The good news, though, even though it doesn't bother me, I get why it bothers some people. The good news is that's not how it's going to be for the whole series, because according to Star Wars stuff, aka Cryptic 4, or from Cryptic 4 4K Qual, episode 5, the runtime for episode 5 of Ahsoka is going to be 49 minutes and 50 seconds, directed by Dave Filoni. Now that is long, and I'm not complaining about that. That's literally like a TV movie. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe a bit longer than a TV movie, because even with commercial breaks, it might come out to being almost an hour and a half if they're long commercial breaks. Still, though, if you put them in, I mean, still though, that's something to look forward to. Now, my thoughts on this are, what could this episode be about? And I'm fairly certain, and so are the replies, let me tell you, that this is when we're going to get Anakin Skywalker. That's kind of been the story here with Ahsoka. We know that Anakin Skywalker is coming. We know that Hayden Christensen shot scenes for it. We know that, and there's going to be flashbacks to Anakin. We know that. I'm not sure if Ahsoka will communicate with the Force Ghost Anakin. I've talked about in the past how that might actually not be a good thing, only because the fact that, like, it would somewhat contradict the recent 3 movies. I've said it a million times, but if Anakin could manifest to a Force Ghost, which of course he can, we saw him do it at the end of Return of the Jedi, then why did he not warn Ben Solo and everybody else about Palpatine, Snoke, and everything else? Remember, Vader knew about Exegol. The comic stated such. Not just that, but even if, when you're a Force ghost, you become one with the Force, and thus you're able to travel across the galaxy in the living Force, in the cosmic Force. We see Qui-Gon doing this, or we don't see it, we hear him do it. But Qui-Gon as a ghost has appeared both in voice and actually as a representation of a ghost on multiple different planets, to Yoda in Clone Wars, and then later, of course, to Obi-Wan at the end of the Obi-Wan show. Right? So that is weird to me. But I suspect there could be a flashback to something that either happened in Clone Wars, that cartoon, or was a scene from that time period of Ahsoka being trained. Now, if you go back to the trailer for Ahsoka, if you remember, in that trailer, you hear Anakin saying, I'm preparing you for more than just droids. Now, obviously, who were the enemy during the Clone Wars? The droids, the Separatist army. They used the droid army, and the Republic had the clone army. So, logically, it's going to be a scene where Anakin's giving Ahsoka a monologue, training her, telling her that the Force is useful for a Jedi for more than just battling off droids, but also battling off other Force users, etc., etc. So, I think this is the episode. I think Filoni's episodes on the other shows he's done, like his episode for Book of Boba Fett, was fantastic. Dave Filoni's the guy who I trust. I saw some people in the comments, and this is something that I think is very uneducated, okay? They were like, well, how can you trust Filoni if he works under Kathy Kennedy? Well, because Filoni has direction, and I feel like Kathy Kennedy, despite all the mistakes she made, she obviously trusts him enough to make this show. She obviously listened to him and Favreau. So as much as I think that Kathy Kennedy is not the right leader for Star Wars, if she's delegating for Lucasfilm, but if she's delegating the work to Filoni, That's a smart decision. That's probably the smartest thing that Kathy Kennedy's ever done, is let him take over, because that's a guy, he's George Lucas's Padawan. He is, to me, to quote where this whole Thrawn story came from, Filoni is the heir to the Empire. I'm not saying he's going to end up being one of the owners of Disney. I'm not saying he's qualified enough to do that. But as the creative force, no pun intended, to push Star Wars forward, this is the guy. And he's only getting better and better and better with his directing, with his storytelling. His stuff so far makes sense to me. There's small little contradictions. For example, in episode 2 at the end, the Sabine scene with her and Ahsoka, it was supposed to be the same scene that we saw at the end of Rebels. Slightly different because she puts the helmet on at the end of Rebels. But to me, that's small. It's not a major deal. And maybe it's not the exact same scene. Maybe it's somewhere else. It feels like it is the same scene, though, just done in live action. But still, the fact that he's connecting it, although it not being a beat for beat 100% perfect connection, is still better than all the plot holes and contradictions that exist just within the sequel trilogy. Just the sequel trilogy by itself's got a bunch of crap. And Filoni's tying in Rebels, Clone Wars. You got stuff from Mando. You got stuff from Boba Fett. Like, he's tying in all these different things. We're bringing in and teasing the Yuzang Vong. We're bringing in stuff like the Night Sisters. There's a lot of stuff. Yo. So if he does an episode, not only am I gonna watch it, I'm gonna look forward to it. I'm gonna get excited. And let me tell you, I have not been excited for Star Wars in a long, long time. It's been a while, y'all. What do you think? Let me know down below.